All right, we're live.
All right. Hey everyone, my name is Hannah. I'm part of the Injective Protocol team. Today I'm joined in conversation by Sandeep, COO and co-founder of Polygon, and Eric, CEO and co-founder of Injective. Thanks so much for being here with us today, guys. Both Injective and Polygon are parts of the Binance family and are working to expand the global use of Layer-2 infrastructure. Let's start off today's conversation by having each of you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about what your company does. We can start with you, Sandeep.
Okay. Yeah, as you mentioned that I'm one of the co-founders at Polygon, which was previously Matic Network, and Matic Network originally was a plasma-based layer 2 solution, plasma and sidechain-based layer 2 solution. So we used to call it like hybrid POS plus plasma solution. And then we have been working on this for last 2.5 years in total now. And then the current Matic solution has seen a lot of adoption and all. And we've been speaking to like huge number of Web3 companies who are building various different kind of solutions. And what we figured out is that there is no solution fits all approach. So we wanted to move away from one particular kind of layer 2 approach to a more of a layer 2 aggregator approach, wherein you can not only have one any specific type of solution, but instead like we are able to provide a suite of solutions from where the developers can choose the solution of their choice. So that's what led the birth to Polygon. So that's a brief history, but we can talk more about it.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Eric from Injective Protocol. So Injective is building a fully decentralized derivatives exchange that supports all kinds of market and has a highly customizable and parameterizable market parameters that allows anyone to really be creative and innovate on top of our exchange ecosystem. We also have a fully decentralized order book model where essentially the entire order book data sits on top of our exchange and enables a lot of really interesting interplay between all the ecosystems projects that are building on top of us, along with our core order book infrastructure.
Thanks, guys. DeFi projects seem to be gaining more adoption than ever before. What do you guys see as the future for this space, and what can help accelerate this adoption further? Eric, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, so just in general, I would say that because there's so much focus on Ethereum-based, DeFi ecosystem, and I do start seeing that, like recently, Andre Cronje and a few others are starting to expand, the DeFi ecosystem on like other chains, such as BSC, Phantom, and a few others. So I would say that in terms of looking onwards to the short-term future, is that the ecosystem for DeFi itself is going to be mainly chain agnostic. So that means that there could be a Uniswap on, let's say first on Ethereum and then later on onto Optimism, and maybe a little bit down the road onto other chain as well. And even if Uniswap itself doesn't build this ecosystem, someone else will adopt this AMM model, which we are currently seeing very broadly today. So yeah.
Awesome. Any thoughts, Cindy?
Yeah, from my side also, like like I'm not speaking about the chain specific things, but I would say on the larger sense, like the DeFi protocols are getting the adoption because like this whole pandemic situation actually in kind of a practical sense kind of proved the hypothesis of what Bitcoin, the vision that Bitcoin started with. And I think DeFi is an like extension of like having a decentralized ledger. First, like Ethereum is an extension of that same philosophy, is to have a non-censorable, non-central party controlled system. And then Ethereum then came out with programmable money, and then definitely DeFi is the product market fit here. It looks like that. And then like the whole of I think the this is the biggest kind of theme of the entire financial markets worldwide right now. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like we have not even started seeing the real like the real people getting into it. Even now it's like few institutions getting it, like, but then when these large like institutions which have millions and millions of users with them, when they start kind of bringing their users onto these platforms, it's going to be really going crazy. And then now then coming after that, like coming back to this, I think what Eric said, it does look like currently like the DeFi developers and the founders are thinking about going beyond Ethereum to save on the gas prices and all that. But I think and then definitely there are some solutions where some people might deploy in the short run. But I feel that for the larger DeFi, like this multi-billion dollar DeFi, or the institutions to move their large amount of funds into fairly like some of the chains that might not be that decentralized enough. So that sounds like little difficult for now, but who knows, like maybe once more funds move into onto some of those chains, like they start becoming more decentralized and all that. But like my bets are still on Ethereum. Like I feel that Ethereum remains to be the ultimate settlement layer. And then all these and that's what is like, I'm saying that because that's the core idea about Polygon also, that it's basically a kind of a array of solutions or multi-chain Ethereum ecosystem, where you have the central chain in the Ethereum, in the form of Ethereum in the middle, and then you have all these separate chain solutions working or connecting to it. And I think that's already, that hypothesis is already being proven, where all the layer one solutions are essentially have like they have to build bridges to Ethereum, because at the end the liquidity is there. So yeah, I mean, I feel that the moment like some of the liquidity moves out, the main chain Ethereum becomes less congested. Like again, you will see the reverse flow of the funds into the layer one. So it will always remain in an equilibrium, and Ethereum will remain the same. So yeah, but yeah.
Sandeep, congratulations on the rebranding. As you mentioned, Polygon was formerly known as Matic Network. And you touched on the rationale behind that rebranding briefly, but could you tell us a little bit more about that and tell us about any developments that have taken place since that rebranding occurred?
Yeah. So actually, although it might look like a rebranding exercise, but it's actually more than that. It's not a like a pure rebranding exercise in that sense. It's actually a scope expansion for us. So you can think of it like previously, like let's say in the center you have Ethereum, and then you have like one kind of layer two, like there is Optimism, there is ZK rollup, then there is Plasma, and side chains that we are building and all that. So but then the Matic network was focused on one particular approach, like POS and Plasma approach, right? And what I was mentioning, that after our discussions to hundreds and hundreds of dApp developer teams, and and as it can already be seen that after Ethereum or probably BSC, the Matic chains would be the most adopted scaling solution in the space. So having talked to a lot of these teams, what we have realized that these, like there is like each team has their own requirements, right? For example, we were even speaking to Injective team and all that. So they had their own kind of requirement, some particular set of this thing which they chose the current set of solution, right? So all of these, like intelligence about the industry and the developers requirement, kind of led us to believing that okay, we should, instead of going for one particular kind of solution, let's create a solution which offers this choice to the user. And we also believe that all these layer 2 technologies, like what has happened previously with the infrastructure, if we see the internet boom, it will become increasingly commoditized. And then like as a platform, we want to be able to offer all of these various different layer 2 kind of approaches or scaling approaches, where people can choose from them, and then have easy or seamless connections with Ethereum, which we believe, as I said, that is the central, or is going to be the central settlement layer.
Awesome. Polygon and Injective have been collaborating since the beginning. In addition, I know that Sandeep, you were one of the initial backers of Injective. Previously, you were working together to further delve into Layer-2 research. And I know that there are several integration plans scheduled in the near future. Could you tell us a little bit more about these different avenues? Let's start with Eric this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually super interesting because essentially, like, we started working with, back then it was still Matic, and we were basically, looking for a scaling solution because we understand that, Ethereum is the place to go, even though we were Cosmos native. And back then, there's no such thing. There's barely any development around Peggy. And I remember if you take a snapshot of like where Peggy was at back then, it was very, very, it was unidirectional, and the development is the development progress is just not there. So I think like the team over at Matic, I believe my co-founder Albert also like visited India, visited Matic team back then to really kind of guide us throughout the integration process and see like what would it look like, what would the model look like if we build on top of Matic, and what would it look like if we want to build our own peg zone. So I think like both sides are extremely helpful because there are a lot of similarities between us and Matic in terms of like we're both Cosmos based or like an extension of Cosmos plus Tendermint in a sense. And I think like just in general, a lot of our common problem, either Matic has run into it and can really give us like a very nice guiding point, or like it's something that we can solve together. And yeah, we definitely really look forward to especially going forward as we go ahead with the mainnet to really collaborate even further, work on different types of really interesting bridges, maybe like skip the Ethereum layer so there's no two hops between Polygon and Injective, and just see what are the sparks that we can create by connecting to each other.
Thanks, Eric. How about you, Sandeep?
Yeah, I mean, I know Eric from quite a long time. I think we met first time when we were the mentors at the, Binance Labs incubation cohort. And, it was very, in fact, we met there officially there, but I had already seen Eric talking in Singapore. And, I was immediately impressed when he was discussing about the consensus details and all that. Like, his team is like he, Albert, and everyone is like absolutely, super people, and like stellar backgrounds like Stanford and Harvard and all that, if I'm not wrong. So it was very clear to me that these guys are set to do something. And then and it was also very like nice to see at that young age, like I think in age I'm like much senior to Eric. Like I'm like 32, 33. Eric is still pretty young, I think early 20s or something like that. So even in at that age, like their maturity in terms of finding a actual, like finding the right solution instead of rushing into doing something. They did multiple iterations on their solution and all that, and I think now only they are coming up with some solution which has been researched by their team multiple times, done multiple POCs and things like that. I think that was immediately very kind of impressive for me. And then since then, like, we have been in touch and we've met multiple times and again had like very deep technical discussions. So yeah, like from my side, I strongly believe that their team will, as you said, that I'm also a small investor in their rounds, and I believe that they'll keep doing good work. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty and skepticism in online communities regarding high gas fees on Ethereum, and DeFi protocols have been coming up with innovative solutions to combat this issue. Both Polygon and Injective are Layer-2 protocols that scale Ethereum. How your protocol executes the mechanism and why these forms of scaling are so important to the rapidly growing Ethereum ecosystem. I can start with you, Cindy.
Could you repeat that last part of the question? I missed that.
Yeah, sure. So can you explain how your protocol executes the mechanism and why these forms of scaling are important to the rapidly growing Ethereum ecosystem?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like why Ethereum needs scalability is very clear for everyone. Like, nobody wants to pay $100 or $200 in gas fees. So definitely we need more solutions. And then, for all the layer 2 solutions at the end, when I'm saying that, when I mentioned that, Ethereum will be the settlement layer or central settlement layer, uh, essentially every layer 2, what layer 2 tries to do is that you do a lot of off-chain computation and then settle like a proof of computation and all that onto Ethereum. So that's also how, like, our existing solution works, that it kind of, in a very layman terms, I can say, it kind of batches like thousands of transactions in one particular checkpoint and puts it on Ethereum, using which, like, the consensus details between the validators. And if you are using Plasma, you can actually verify your transactions on Ethereum. So those kind of things you can do with layer 2. I think every layer 2 tries to does that. But then there is also one more layer, one more kind of solutions, which is like, let's say, pure side chains, right? So maybe some of the solutions which have, let's say, a standard bridge, and then where the funds can, in a non-custodial way, can move to and fro. uh, I think the solution where Injective is working on has a simple bridge with the Ethereum main chain. So I think, Eric can explain more about that. But then, yeah, like, there are various different kinds of layer 2 approaches. Some of them have very strong coupling to Ethereum, like optimistic rollups, and then, some of them have very loose kind of couplings to the Ethereum, which can be a simple sidechain. Okay, so yeah.
Actually, like Sandeep did a really good job at like kind of like walking us over like kind of like how we're going about things. Because after all, we are like an application specific chain. We're not trying to be like a generalized a scaling solution for Ethereum for all things dApp like Polygon. They're already expert on that. So essentially, what we really have the mental model is that just in general, like even on a contract level, like if we look at current decentralized derivative projects on top of Ethereum, that's like settling on Ethereum, you're still trusting that contract itself, and you're trusting currently there's a lot of solutions. You're basically trusting the Oracle attached to it, and you're trusting oftentimes the order book plus all the pricing mechanism, and maybe for a project out there, there's even like a couple of admin keys where it allows them to kill the contract. So we kind of like analyze that threat model, and understood that basically within like a application specific environment, a bridge that's backed by the consensus of the chain itself, which hosts all things related to decentralized derivatives and decentralized exchange, is kind of like it's economically bonded. So in the sense that like you don't necessarily need to have the entire proof down to Ethereum for a settlement layer, because you have to trust the chain regardless for the trading process. It's kind of like the same case where a lot of the non-custodial exchanges and a lot of like the ZK Stark rollup exchanges out there, they're essentially you have to trust that that centralized server is being functional, that they're providing you the proper price feed, and even though you might be able to dispute it, you're still going to stomach a loss. So based on this model, we tried to come up with like a more, like a friendly model for, all things related to trader. We want to make sure that, that component is actually decentralized, especially with regards to the order book component, and, how all the open interests are liquidated and managed. And that's kind of why we came up with our model. We understand that, after all, the proof itself, or basically we're not 100% kind of like cementing the security model of our chain onto Ethereum. But what we realized is basically that, like this is kind of like for our intents and purposes, the best scaling solution for, this subsector of like decentralized exchanges and derivatives exchanges.
Thanks, guys. NFTs are quickly gaining momentum and even entering the mainstream these days. Polygon recently developed its own NFT market and even cemented a partnership with Atari, one of the largest and most iconic gaming companies. And Eric, I know that internally we have been also working on NFT initiatives of our own to deploy on Injective. Where do you guys see this industry headed, and what are your plans with NFTs moving forward?
So,
Or go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, see, NFTs are right now like talk of the town, and I think they are the like after this DeFi boom, everyone expects NFTs to be the next big thing. And it's like I would not say it's the next big thing. I think it's already the big thing. Like we don't really like till now. Even our focus was a lot on gaming and some of these NFT marketplaces and all that. But this arts NFT arts kind of market has absolutely exploded. Like you have these big celebrities now coming onto blockchain and minting their NFTs and selling millions of dollars of NFTs right away. And then you have like AIs like basically an AI produced an NFT art which sold for I don't know $100,000 or $600,000. I don't recall the exact number, but there was some ridiculous amount. Like some AI threw some colors on random colors on something, and then somebody bought it for $100,000 or whatnot. So I think it's absolutely going bananas, and I think it will start reflecting the real world art markets, because that rarity and then the proof of ownership that blockchains provide is a very big proposition to to the digitization of all of these things. So yeah, like we are also very bullish on it, and then already I think in NFTs Polygon is the leading solution right now. Almost all, if you talk to 10 different games in the space, you will see that 5 of them would already be building on Polygon, and out of other 5, 2, 3 would be exploring Polygon. So I think we are doing very well in that direction, and we'll keep doing providing more and more facilities to the developers to kind of build good solutions on that. Yeah.
Right on, Eric?
Yeah. So I would say like in terms of NFT, it's something like I'm always really excited about because not known to a lot of people, like I was like doing a lot of digital art and stuff like that back in like middle school and high school. So it was always, like a question for me, like about the creating this originality and authenticity of any type of digital work, because it's just so easily, replicatable and, fungible in a sense. And, the introduction of, a non-fungible token really kind of like stepped it up and added this kind of like uniqueness and identification for any type of like digital art. So I think on that side, it's like extremely exciting. Even from like years and years ago. And I think like right now the recent boom is very much in a sense expected almost. And I would say like from within the confine of Injective, what we really try to figure out is what we can do with the NFT market itself, like how we can make it relatively more liquid, because after all, the entire point of this NFT market or recent NFT boom is that most of these assets are non-fungible. But what are some of the ways for people to really capitalize and capture the value of these of the recent NFT boom? So that's something we've been doing a lot of deep thinking about. And as a matter of fact, like we launched like a derivative market idea competition like the longest time ago, just to collect a lot of interesting market proposals from the community. And I think the second place was actually like a Black Lotus. This is like pre NFT boom, right? This is like a Black Lotus card collectible from Magic the Gathering. So that's actually extremely interesting to me, because I had no idea how liquid and how frequently traded that market is, and obviously going towards the real world collectible items like let's say StockX and stuff like that, it is becoming apparent that there's a way for people to track how a certain market is doing, and how like these items can be like converged into a single index or a single number. So like at Injective, we've been doing a lot of thinking around this, and potentially maybe even launch a market so people can gain exposure to it upon mainnet.
Awesome, thanks, Eric. Staking plays an important role in both Polygon and Injective. What are some unique features of staking within your respective networks that are generally not found elsewhere? And what are some ways in which you guys plan to expand the number of individuals that actually participate in staking to secure the network?
So I think one of the most interesting thing for Polygon staking is that the staking happens on Ethereum itself. Like many times people consider Polygon POS chain as a simple side chain. but it's actually not not a simple sidechain. It's basically it's basically a commit chain. It actually commits back to Ethereum, and like every few hours it commits back to Ethereum, and then the staking, the delegation, rewards, everything happens on Ethereum. So that's the most different, like slightly different part of it. But then right now, because of the increased gas fees, it's also a problem. But yeah, like the people, they're staking, and they're all the funds are always on the main chain for all the stakers and delegators. Yeah.
Yeah. In our case, staking actually has a pretty interesting component because we can like mix and match with a lot of inner workings of our derivative protocol. I guess like perks of being an application specific chain. So obviously there's the most the purest form of proof of stake. So you earn staking rewards for becoming validators or joining a validator pool, aka becoming a delegator. And I would say that like another really interesting component towards everything related to it is that there's an interplay between acting as kind of like a node for the ecosystem versus acting as like a active consensus participant. Because one thing we need, and that's something that we're really trying to expand on, is the number of access points for the overall state, aka the order book and the entire exchange ecosystem. So we created this kind of like an incentive mechanism to basically encourage people to, first of all, host nodes, and second of all, like grow the user base. So essentially, if you host a node and there's traders or market makers that are submitted their order through you, you can actually earn 40% of the fees. Like basically 40% of the trading fees are allocated to you, and you can distribute that in whatever creative ways you like. You can either create like referral links around it. You can create like a rebate program, and that's really how we want to incentivize this community and kind of like an ecosystem of market specific exchange interface, specialized exchanges, and maybe even some creative ways in terms of growth strategy, and maybe adding some like interesting elements to it to make trading even more interesting. So that's something I really look forward to, and I really look forward to for the community to gain exposure to this for the upcoming staking element and everything related to it. And yeah, like right now, like we're in the process of incentivized staking, and it is a pretty dry process for the general community. So we've been like looking into ways to like kind of like spice it up and make it more interesting, so that a lot more community members, rather than just validators, to be able to participate in it in like a much more interesting and like much more spiced up way. And yeah, like beyond this, I would say that after all, we are DeFi native, so there's a lot of staking relating to like the derivative product itself or anything that interacts with it, and that's something that like people are going to have to find out a little bit later on.
Great. Well, thank you guys for all of your answers. Now I'd just like to open up the floor for the two of you to discuss with each other anything else that you think is important for the community today. Or if there's not anything, we've had an awesome conversation as is. So thank you guys for joining today's panel. Great to see the things that you guys are working on together and individually, and we look forward to being in touch in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Eric. See you around.